we speak about a dying person as being alive, the question would be, what can one do about relieving the pains of such a person, or of fulfilling that person's or will, other people's will, the family's desire to terminate life easier, in a faster. A person may be dying, suffer in a way that has no relief, and people may desire to cut short their life. Now, within the Jewish law, as stated before, because the person is not the owner of its own body, because nobody is the owner of anybody's person, there is nobody has the right to decide about dying, and in that sense about shortening of life. Any kind of a suicide or a murder is only shortening life. So in that sense there is no difference. As long as a person is alive, then he is alive. And I cannot consider him as dead until he died. Now, incidentally, it has also other results in a different way, which is, say, not only in negation, but also in positive action. As said, the consideration of keeping one alive is a number one consideration. Revoking almost any prohibition of the Jewish law. This consideration of preserving life is pertinent not only to when the person in danger is a young, healthy person, but it's also the same law applies when the person is old, when the person is even treifa, or even when the person is actually dying. See, one has and should put all the exertions, including, say, removing, that is one of the questions that is being asked about the laws of Shabbat, is at what time does one go on Shabbat in removing the pieces of a fallen building? That's exactly a very old question. Unluckily, it became more common than one would wish to it. But here you have a disaster. A building fell down, and you have to take out people. Now, that means, among other things, except the expenses, it means also desecrating the Shabbat or any other holidays. The high holidays are no different than any other place, any other time. Now, the question is, what is the limit of the time of doing it? In what time? Now, basically it is, if you can save life, then you go on doing it. Whatever, not considering almost any other element, which means going on working. Now, it may be that by any calculation, the people under the wounds won't survive. They won't survive. it took too much time, or I know about them that they are not in the shape to survive. Even so, the Jewish law says, because even a dying person is considered alive, I am doing exactly the same work to keep a person alive perhaps a minute more. If I can guarantee this minute, I'm putting every exertion in doing it without any consideration about it. Incidentally, the Jewish law also says that when it comes to these questions of saving a life, statistics basically doesn't count, which means even when the chance is very small, we should go on and doing whatever can be done. The point to stop is the point when there is a certainty, as far as human beings can come to a certainty. When the certainty, nobody is alive anymore. Then we have an entirely different set of considerations. But as long as there is a chance of saving the life of somebody, even saving it temporarily, everything should be set apart, and that goes to go to again a different realm, philosophically, theologically. It means that life doesn't have a specific value. If I should attach any value to it, I put attached to it the value is infinite. As it is infinity, even a small part of infinity is still infinity. See, 1/10, 1,000th, 1,000,000th of infinity is still infinity. So in that sense, a minute of life has the same infinity power to it as I said, if life is considered infinite, then any part of it has the same amount of infinity. Whether it is a half of it, a quarter of it, 1/10 of it, 1,000,000th of it. So that is the consideration of a moment of life which has the value of life, and therefore everything should be done to keep it. But there is also the other consideration that should and is taken into account, that the consideration of the pain involved and the suffering involved. Death can be, there are some descriptions of death from the Bible, and there's so many of them in the Talmud, and they say that there are different ways or forms of dying, from what is called mitat nishika, which is mistranslated, but it's not a terrible mistranslation, as death with a kiss. In that sense, it should be defined as dying when touching God, which has no suffering and no pain and no in fact defilement involved at all, to the point in which people say it's again a simile found in the Talmud, taking out a hair of a glass of milk.